first day of work at a new job, or that time you knew you had to meet a deadline. Maybe the day you were leaving for college, or your first PTO meeting for your child. It's likely at some point your internal thoughts included, I don't belong here. I just got lucky. I'm going to get found out. Those thoughts running through your mind, they're the classic sign of imposter syndrome. The basic definition is chronic feelings of self-doubt and fear of being discovered as a fraud, despite achievements and success. The concept's been around since 1978, when two researchers used the term imposter phenomena to describe this common experience. Although early studies and media reports frame this as primarily an issue for professional women, subsequent research has shown that what we now call imposter syndrome is highly prevalent. It's been identified as an ongoing issue in nearly 70% of the population, across gender, race, profession, and age. Far from being a simple sign of self-doubt or insecurity, imposter syndrome is significantly associated with burnout, frequently results in perfectionism and procrastination, and it's a barrier to productivity, regardless of the setting. And that's because we treat those thoughts as if they're a true reflection of our abilities, when they're just thoughts. And there's a science. Neurological research has identified correlations between the feelings of not deserving or not good enough and lower levels of certain neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine. Serotonin regulates anxiety, happiness, and mood. And dopamine promotes feelings of pleasure, reward, focus, and memory. These findings point to a widespread effect from imposter syndrome of greater unhappiness, greater tension and anxiety, decreased productivity from burnout, and a decrease in healthy risks, such as speaking up in a meeting or going for a promotion. That's a lot of impact related to a few thoughts. It's tempting to consider imposter syndrome a 20th century problem or reflection of the fast-paced US culture, but findings are similar around the globe. Instead, I invite you to consider imposter syndrome as a manifestation of our evolutionary process, a form of cognitive reflex that's rooted in our human drive for survival. We know that our stress or arousal response, that fight, flight, freeze reaction, is a necessary holdover from our early need to survive in a hostile world, alerting us to dangers such as saber-toothed tigers. It still serves us well today, allowing us to react to a potential danger even before our thinking brain has fully processed the situation. Similarly, there's a tendency for the human brain to react more strongly to negative events than positive ones. Psychologists call this the negativity bias. Research studies consistently show a much larger degree of brain responsiveness to negative events. Our amygdala quickly stores negative events and experiences in memory, which are then easier to recall. But positive events and experiences generally take longer focus to move from short-term memory to long-term storage. Again, it's a form of survival. It's a way the brain tries to keep us safe, since a quick reaction to a stick, as if it's a snake, is a lot better than getting bitten by what you thought was a piece of firewood. Negativity bias is a normal evolutionary process. We're geared to see the negative more than the positive, and we tend to view the idea of failure or imperfection as highly stressful. Since we know that imposter syndrome is almost universally experienced, we can consider that imposter syndrome is more like a reflexive brain response than an accurate expression of abilities. From an evolutionary perspective, we needed to be part of the tribe, so the fear of getting ostracized was pretty dangerous. It makes sense to think of imposter syndrome as a brain-based reflex to the possibility of being seen as a fraud, and then our negativity bias makes this a likely response, especially under stress. The original research on imposter syndrome identified two subgroups: those who were seen as not as smart as a sibling, and those who were always told they were super smart, amazing, high achievers. Both groups had similar thoughts and fears, even though one group was praised for intelligence and the other group wasn't. The key to understanding this is found in mindset research, specifically the findings about fixed compared to growth mindset. Fixed mindset suggests there's this natural amount of talent, ability, or intelligence that you're born with. It's the idea you either have it or you don't. Growth mindset involves understanding talents and abilities as a matter of skill, which can be developed and improved with effort. A fixed mindset primes the brain to anticipate the negative even more and to strengthen that set of neural pathways, because we already know whatever we repeat, we strengthen. While a growth mindset recognizes no one's perfect, and we learn through making mistakes. We know that when a doctor checks our knee-jerk reflex with a mallet, our lower leg jumps. It's a built-in response. Just like if we hit our funny bone, there's this tingling sensation that goes down our arm, and it's uncomfortable. In both cases, our bodies react in this reflexive manner to an outside stressful stimulus. When we put together stress plus negativity bias plus fixed mindset, the result is imposter syndrome. So just like your brain guides you to take a closer look before picking up a stick, in case it's a snake, your brain's prompting you to worry about fitting in. The solution? First, take a breath and envision your body's automatic physical reflex, like the one of hitting your elbow. Then, identify your thoughts as a brain reflex. Taking that short pause allows you to assess the situation objectively and to remember that growth mindset supports learning through effort, not perfection. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. That's great news, because then we can recognize that imposter syndrome is a normal reaction. It's our brain's way of naturally responding. It's not a sign that you don't belong. It's a sign that you're human. I'm Dr. Kristina Hallett, and I am a speaker who dares.